Hello everybody! Today I have such an exciting announcement. I am announcing the start of a new series on my channel called Sexy Sunday. So if you've been following me for a long time, or if you follow me on Instagram, you will immediately know that I am a very sex positive person. Sex education and normalizing talking about sex and normalizing talking about enjoying sex and having fun with sex and really feeling empowered in your sexuality is something that is so important to me. Oh my god, my eyelashes itching. Oh. And for so long I've been wanting to bring that to YouTube, and I have in a couple ways. I've done Q&As and, you know, I've done videos where like Get Ready With Me is where I talk about like my first time having sex, losing my virginity kind of stories. And I've talked about it a little bit on my TikTok. I would do like emo mom orgasm tips. But I wanted to bring it to YouTube to really have a space to have conversations that I feel like a lot of the time maybe people don't have space to have. Because a lot of these conversations that I want to have are very, very important, and I've, you know, been told by you guys that they're important to you as well, so let's just get together and talk about it. So that's exactly what Sexy Sunday is going to be. I'm gonna try to do it once a month, the last Sunday of the month, at either the beginning or the end of the month. I'm gonna put up one video on a Sunday talking about sex, talking about anything from how to talk to your partner about exploring a fantasy, to shopping for sex toys, to how to feel sexy naked, to reading your sexy stories, to responding to advice questions that you guys have, talking about masturbating, whatever. There's so many different topics that I want to get into. And today for the first episode, we're gonna be talking about orgasms, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Like I mentioned, I want this to be interactive. In the description box, I will have an email address to where you guys can email me any questions that you have that you would like answered or like my opinion on, as well as any advice that you would like my opinion on or you would like my advice on. And also, if you have any fun, sexy stories, I would love to hear them, to do episodes where I just read your guys' funny sex stories or read your guys' spicy sex story or your spicy sex confessions. Just fun episodes where we can just learn and laugh and grow and become more of a community that is empowered in their sexuality. Obviously, I'm not a sex expert, but I have been having sex for a long time. And growing up, you know, as somebody who was, you know, slut shamed a lot, and for somebody who didn't really have a lot of people to talk to about sex, that didn't really have a support system around sex, it's so important for me to create that for people. So I will be doing research the best that I can, and also just providing my own experiences in these videos and just kind of hanging out, putting on makeup, and talking about sex. So since I also had to kind of introduce Sexy Sunday, this episode's going to be a little bit shorter and not as in-depth as I would like future episodes to be, but today we're going to be talking about orgasms. I just wanted it to kind of be a taste of what it's gonna kind of be like. Kind of think, you know, I honestly got the idea for the format of this from Bailey Sarian. I know all of you guys know Bailey Sarian, how she does like makeup and murder on Mondays, and she just talks and puts on makeup. That's kind of how it's gonna be, but I'm just gonna be talking about sex and not murder. So that is my idea for Sexy Sunday. That is a new series on my channel. So without further ado, let's get into the first episode of Sexy Sunday. Hey everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Sexy Sunday, where we talk about all things sex and self-love. And today we're gonna be talking about orgasms. In this video and in this series, I am going to be talking about adult content, and most of the time in detail, so viewer discretion is advised, and just be aware of who's in the room while you're listening to this. Also, I won't be describing the makeup that I am putting on. This is just a classic Get Ready With Me style, and I will have all the makeup that I'm using listed in the description box. And in the description box, I will be listing any resources that I used, find information for this video, or any resources that I mentioned through the video. And finally, because of the nature of Sexy Sunday, I have a feeling most of these are gonna be demonetized. So please make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and make sure to follow me on other platforms so that you can continue to support me. But without further ado, let's start putting on some makeup and talking about orgasms. I wanted to talk about orgasms because especially for those of us with vaginas, it's not talked about as much. It's kind of swept under the rug, right? Now, that definitely is changing for a lot of reasons, but I still think it's really important because growing up, and when I say growing up, I mean growing up as a sexually active adult, right? So growing up and, you know, having sex with like partners, masturbating, I felt like I was alone. I didn't have an orgasm while having sex with my partner until I was like 22. And I know that's relatively young, but I also started having sex at a very young age. I just felt like I was broken. And also, being that, you know, I had masturbated for a few years, I knew what an orgasm felt like. Not being able to replicate it with a partner was such a weird and shameful and, you know, just not necessarily the best experience in the world. I literally thought I was broken to the point where I like started Googling things like not being able to have sex or not being able to have an orgasm during sex. Like, is it normal to not have an orgasm? Because I just didn't know, and especially because, you know, I was really one of the only, like, I was like probably the most sexually active of my friends, and, you know, my mom didn't really talk to me about sex, or at least about like these things. So I just didn't know, you know, and so I just felt alone for a really long time. And then I had to, you know, Google and research and figure out how to have an orgasm during sex. That's kind of the backstory of like why I wanted to talk about this, because I think it's a really, really important issue. Like on my TikTok, I used to do like emo mom orgasm tips. I definitely want to do a whole video dedicated to getting more in depth about this topic, but today we're just gonna kind of go over some like myths, some basics, just kind of, you know, overarching, talking about it, right? Starting the conversation about it. So it's hard to talk about it from like a research standpoint because most research, as far as I could find, most research that has been done has been with heterosexual couples. So I'm mostly going to be talking about that when I'm talking about like numbers. So in heterosexual couples, about 95% of men experience orgasm, but only anywhere from 50 to 70% of women experience orgasms during partnered sex with a man. Now what's really interesting is, you know, there's not a lot of research on queer couples, but I'm gonna just go out and assume, based off of everything I've seen on TikTok, based off of my own experiences, and based off of what this research says, I'm gonna assume queer couples have a lot more orgasms. Because in the research that I found, basically the more foreplay that is experienced, the higher the chance of orgasm. This isn't backed by research, but I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree, queer couples have a lot more foreplay involved with their sexual activity. Just gonna go out and say it. But there's so many other factors other than just foreplay, penetrative sex, whatever it is. There's so many other factors besides just the action of sex. Personal beliefs, how happy you are in the relationship, what medications you're on, sexual trauma. These are all just some deeper factors that can have an effect on whether you can experience an orgasm or not. Those are just some kind of, you know, bigger overarching factors. And then there's smaller factors like just knowing how you have an orgasm best, because there are different types of orgasms. And again, we are talking about orgasms experienced by vagina havers. So I am sorry, penis owners, unless you're having sex with a vagina haver, this video might not be for you. You can have a clitoral orgasm, you can have a G-spot orgasm, you can have a combination of both. You can have an anal orgasm, which is, that's for a whole nother video. I'm bad. And then I believe there was another one like tantric orgasms, but that one I'm not super familiar with. Maybe that one we could deep dive into another Sexy Sunday episode about that. Let's talk about the two most common, clitoral and G-spot. Let's just talk about personal experience. Let's just talk about me for a second. I personally cannot have an orgasm unless my clit is stimulated in some way. And that's the first way that I am able to have an orgasm is through clitoral stimulation. And I pretty much cannot have an orgasm without clitoral stimulation. And I feel, and based off of what I've seen when I've done a little bit of research on that, I feel like that's the most common situation. So that's why we feel broken, you know, when we're having penetrative sex is, you know, it feels good, it's fun, but unless you hit that hot button, it's not gonna happen. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with us, it just means that's how our body does it. And going along with this, before we keep going, this is why, you know, masturbating is so important, right? If you enjoy it, do it. And especially, you know, if you're having troubles in your partnered sex, masturbating can tell you a lot about what could maybe help when you're having partnered sex. If I'm masturbating, and if every time I masturbate, I have to use a vibrator, maybe I need to bring that vibrator into my partnered sex. So it's so important to know going in how it works. You know, you gotta have a game plan. You gotta do a dress rehearsal. How are you gonna put on an impressive performance if you haven't memorized your lines, you know? I don't know, the theater kid came out of me in that metaphor. But, you know, especially if you are, you know, trying to figure out how to have an orgasm with your partner, I think it starts there. It starts with masturbating. It starts with practicing on yourself and saying like, okay, maybe I just need to bring a vibrator in the bedroom with me. Maybe I need a toy. Maybe I need to personally assist my partner while my partner is doing their part of the job, you know? And then if it's not that, then, you know, you could look into maybe some deeper reasons. Are you happy with your partner? Is it a medication that you're taking? Is it a trauma response? What else could it be? But I would say for the most part, bringing in some sort of toy or extra help could really help. So let's talk about bringing in toys. I feel like a lot of the times we can experience, again, shame. We could experience shame, whether it's, you know, like feeling like you're asking for too much, or you don't want your partner to feel inadequate, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, if you are having sex with someone, they should want you to come. And if you're having sex with somebody that doesn't want you to come, unless it's for some BDSM purpose that is consensual between the two, don't have sex with that person. Your partner should want you to come. Your partner should want you to feel good. So in that, your partner, if they have any weird reservations about you bringing in toys or helping out so that you can get there, they need to just suck it up, honestly. Because it's important that you experience just as much pleasure as your partner does. And it's gonna feel really, you know, kind of strange at first, but like, you know, in my personal experience, it's strange, but then after you have your orgasm, you're like, okay, that was worth it. And also knowing that, you know, it may not happen for a while, right? You may have to get used to it because so much of having an orgasm is all in your head. So much of it is your thought processes, what's going through your head, how comfortable you are. And so it could take, you know, if you're already feeling maybe a little bit uncomfortable with, you know, bringing a vibrator in, or feeling like there's a lot of pressure to have an orgasm, that could be counterproductive to having an orgasm. If you're worried that, you know, oh my gosh, like, is my partner getting tired? Do they not want to keep going? Am I asking for too much? Are they feeling bad about themselves because they can't get me to have an orgasm? So many of these negative thoughts will only make it harder to have an orgasm because so much of an orgasm is in our brains and how comfortable we are. So a couple things that I have found that help a lot. One of these things is actually something that, like, when I thought I was broken, I Googled. One of the tips that came up was, and this is something I did a Emo Mom Big O tip on TikTok about. One of the things that came up was picturing a reader board in your head with scrolling letters with encouraging phrases on it. And I shit you not, guys, it helped so much. So the encouraging phrases can be anything that helps you stay in the zone, right? It could be, this feels so good, I love my partner so much. Just anything to keep yourself in the zone and keep yourself not getting distracted. A lot of the time, you know, if you have a hard time having an orgasm with your partner, you know, you just gotta stay focused. And if you have, you know, the proper tools, if things are feeling good, but you just can't go over the hump, so to speak, having something to really focus on could help a ton. Okay, sorry, I just filled in my brows off camera because my camera was overheating. There's so many different factors that go into it. Sex toys and communicating with your partner and trying new things and exploring fantasies, they're all things we're gonna get to. So it's hard to like talk about a topic that is so encompasses so many other factors, but we're doing our best out here. There's so many different things you can do. There's so many things you could try, and you know, reasons that it might be. And you know, it's just things like, okay, let's try listening to music. Let's try not listening to music. Let's try turning on the heater a little bit higher. Let's try having sex with socks on because I'm too cold. Legit, if I'm too cold, it's not happening. So, and also what's so important is to also not feel ashamed if you can't have an orgasm, if you don't have orgasms, and not being ashamed to, like, if they ask you, just say no. Like, no, sorry, I didn't come. It's okay. It's okay to not have an orgasm. It is 100%. You can still enjoy sex without orgasms. Especially when you're having sex with a partner, it feels like the orgasm is like the medal, right? The medal at the end of the race, but it's not. The fact that you are enjoying having sex with your partner, that's all that should matter. And so, you know, if it's something that is important to you to have an orgasm with your partner, great. Talk to your partner, figure out what you guys can do together to make it so that it happens. Also, I want to talk about that if you're used to one type of orgasm, the other type could feel totally different, and usually does feel totally different, and you have to like re-get used to having that type of orgasm now. So, you know, if you're used to masturbating with a vibrator, having sex and something penetrating you and hitting your G-spot is gonna feel like a totally different orgasm than an orgasm with just a vibrator. And combining the two are complete, that's a whole nother ball game. So it's something you have to practice and get used to. And this is something I should have talked about at the beginning, but I feel like a lot of people do the thing where like you don't know if you had an orgasm or not. Because most of the time, how it goes, you and your partner start having sex, it starts to feel really, really, really good, and then, you know, kind of comes to a plateau and it feels really, like, really good for a long time. And then from there, it could either go up to an orgasm or it could go down to just, okay, that's good. We're good. If you don't know what an orgasm feels like, that can feel like an orgasm. And again, it takes a lot of practice. And again, it's gonna depend on how you're having sex and who you're having sex with. But that's also why practice makes perfect. The more orgasms you have by yourself, the more you get used to how it's supposed to feel. And then again, you know, once you throw in a person or another toy or anything like that into the mix, it's gonna change up everything, but then you just have to re-get used to it. At the end of the day, you just have to know that whether you can or can't orgasm, and however you orgasm, just know that it's okay and it's normal. No two people come the same. And that's also why it's so frustrating, you know, if you feel like you're the lone wolf, was because, like, you can feel like you're broken. You can feel like something's wrong with you, but I promise nothing is wrong with you. You just have to figure out the specific little equation that unlocks your coming. Hang on, before I wrap things up, I'm gonna pop on some eyelashes really quick and then we'll wrap it all together. Okay, lashes are on. My lashes are, I think, are a little crooked, but that's okay, that's okay. So lashes are on, so let's get to some final thoughts. So really, the main takeaway here, if you heard one thing out of this video, I want you to hear that your orgasm struggles are normal. That no matter what the reasoning behind struggling to have an orgasm, you are not alone, and you deserve to get to the root of that problem and have orgasms. Everybody deserves to have orgasms. Whatever the reason may be, just please be patient with yourself and practice some self-kindness. Please do not let anyone make you feel less than because you can't have an orgasm. Don't feel pressured to have an orgasm. I want you to enjoy sex. And I want you to know that you're not alone if you struggle to enjoy sex sometimes. And if you struggle to have orgasms sometimes, that's okay. You're not alone. I did too for a long time and still do. So that was the first episode of Sexy Sunday. The look is complete. I went for something just kind of natural, a little bit flushed, you know, since we're talking about orgasms, we want to do a little flushed cheek. I know that this series is going to really take time to kind of grow into its own, so I really appreciate your patience with me and your support while I dive headfirst into Sexy Sunday. In the description box will be everything you need to know about Sexy Sunday, how to get a hold of me, how to send in your questions or your advice requests or your stories. Everything will be listed in the description box, as well as anything I used for this makeup look or any resources I used for the information. I'm so excited to get this going. Please comment down below and let me know what topics. I already have a list of topics going pretty good, but if there's any topics that you specifically want me to talk about, please comment down below. But other than that, that's it. That was today's video. That was my first episode of Sexy Sunday. So make sure to comment, like, subscribe, do all of the things that every YouTuber has to ask you to do. Please do it to let me know that you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!